where we are coming from. I just want to encourage us, and from the get-go, I just want to say, for each one of us, there will be different dynamics in our various homes. So it's not about maybe judging or whatever. We still need, and one of the advantages of us being here is that we can still look at stuff through the lens of faith of who we are as believers. That makes a whole lot of difference. But with that being said, we also have to look at it when I love what Brafemi Abi, what he said about marrying the two positives. Because one of the things I've realized, well, we are still young here. By April, it will be 14 years of our being in this country. Our son was, yeah, we are still young. Our son was, Toby was, how old when we were coming? 12? Yeah, our son was 12 and our daughter was 8. And they have different personalities. But I also find out in the little time through interactions in the faith community, in the larger community as a whole, one of the things that our people will say, oh, it's a godless society. You know, we talk down, even in the church, this church, this place, they don't know God, they don't serve God. And one way or the other, that gets into parents, and they start working from a defensive mode instead of looking at the positive side or the negative side. I mean, what is good, and let's be able to marry the two together. Because the truth be told, I know there are so many questions, and it's not, some of these things, let's not take it general. It might just minister to someone or someone. We as parents too, we're causing confusion, especially even as believers. You know, I tell some of my pastor friends, it's difficult even to be a pastor. Because for a number of people, it's about, oh, come on, church, my Lord. There was a time we've preached somewhere. I finished preaching, and the pastor came up and started. In fact, the pastor told me, say, Pastor Nuga, your own is tough, you know. Because you see people, even parents, some might even be workers or ministers, go to their social status. The other day, I saw somebody celebrating birthday. You don't need to look far to see her breast coming out. And maybe the next day, that person is, and we say, this is a godless culture. The people, you know, some of the things we are exhibiting, the way Nigerians even do party now and what they do, somebody is doing whatever and doing photo shoot, you don't need to look far. I was telling my kids this morning, our daughter is 21. And I say, look, this is it. When me and your mom were cutting, even when I proposed to her, there were about other people, even who had car. Me, I didn't even have cars. Those are the days you can't bring your leg out of your shoe because the socks, that might be old. So, yeah, that we should talk. We talked about sex. We talked about different things. So I love his angle. They are the positive side. They are the negative sides. Let's be able to marry the two. And as parents, let's not, out of fear, oh, it's a godless society, they don't know God, everything is bad. You need to go to Nigerian clubs. I was watching Steve Uduku, he does YouTube stuff. I love watching him. He showed a Nigerian club in Toronto. Oh my goodness. It's something else. I go to one of my barbers, and when they start telling you what some of the men who comes to bar, you know, saloon is where you can hear gist, free gist, whether you like it or not. And this young man was saying what some fathers, what they say. So let's not say, oh, it's a godless society. There are good things to imbibe, and there are the bad ones. I'm not saying that. So we just need, how we go with that, to be able to marry. And let's not, out of fear. If God in His mercy, some of us, we did fasting and prayer to come to Canada. So why should you not be afraid of where God brought you? Is anyone here that God didn't bring? So many people share testimony. So why are we now using our mouth to bring it down? So it should not be out of fear. If God has brought you this far, He will lead you through. So, and that includes our children, not even the money, not the dollars and cents. So let's work from the place of faith. I'm not saying we should look away from some of the challenges which I believe we still talk about. but it's to be able to know that there are positives on both sides. Let's marry the two positives. Thank you.
Thank you so much for everyone that has spoken. Well, I'm a teacher. I teach in the public school system here. So I will be coming in from that angle, from what I see in the school. Okay. So balancing heritage with culture. I think one thought that has just been coming to my heart personally since we started the conversation is, I think there's somewhere in the scripture that says, copy what is good, right? Copy what is good. Our culture is a way of life of the people, right? Yeah, so thinking about where we're coming from Nigeria, for sure, we have very good things, right? But coming into this current culture that we find ourselves in as well, we have very beautiful things, right, as well. Good enough in my classroom right now in social studies, we're learning about, I teach a 7-8 class, right? I have a multi-grade class. Yeah, we're talking about citizenship, okay? Yeah, and for Canada, as it were, Canada has some, just like Barrister Fine was saying in that clip that we watched. We have some beautiful things. Canada is big on respect. That's one of our things from Nigeria as well, right? Canada is big on, of course, helping other people, supporting. That's another thing that we are big on as well, coming from Nigeria. So if you ask me, bringing the two cultures together, there are beautiful things in the two cultures. So, what is our role as parents? As parents, our job, in my opinion, is to bridge the gap. We are bridge, gappers, if I can put it that way. Yeah, we have good things that we have in that culture. We have good things that we have in that culture. So for me, I think it's about being intentional. I think it's about intentionality here. And I think in my home, by God's grace, that's one of the things we do with our kids. This is good. For our son, well, if he comes in, our son is turning 26 shortly, by God's grace. If he comes in here, we're having a conversation on the phone now. Yeah, you'll see him, he goes down, he does all of that and all of that. Our daughter, she has a different personality as a whole. In fact, I tell people, out of the two that I have, you think that it's a boy that will be more, but our girl, awesome, but very resolute. It's important you know the people that God has given to you, okay? So my point really is, it is our job. It is important that as parents, we are very intentional. In the school system where I teach, sometimes if you ask most teachers, right, in the school system, they will tell you that the kids that gives the most problem in the school, and I'm not exaggerating this, they are our kids. So you want to wonder, what is the problem? And for me as a parent, I often ask parents this. When every one of us, when we're coming into Canada, when we got to wherever you came in from, maybe from Toronto or from Calgary, when you landed, was it that they told any one of us that, oh, you know what, you can't, train your children, or you can't, maybe discipline your children? Sometimes I wonder, it's like there's something amiss. That's what I think personally. Because you see our kids coming into the classrooms, and then you see the way they are behaving, and then you wonder, what is going on here? What is happening here? Are parents actually talking to their kids at home? Are they training their kids at home? For sure, for me, Canada is a beautiful place to be in. Like my students, every morning I tell them in the class, oh my goodness, I am so blessed, I'm so fortunate, privileged to be here in this country. They know in my classroom every morning I sing the national anthem loud and clear to them. So it's a privilege to be here. God brought us here. Don't let's forget that. So if He brought us here, what is our role here as parents? Bringing children from another culture into this culture that we are in. We've got to find things that are good in this culture. God did not bring us here to mess us up. I don't believe that, personally. Okay? And the good things that we left behind there. For sure, we can foster that here as parents. So we have a big role to play here. It is important that we are not allowing fear, which was mentioned, maybe fear. Fear that, oh, in Canada, you don't discipline kids or something. Nobody said you cannot discipline your kids. Sorry, ma'am. I don't know if I'm right about that. Can I discipline my kid? Thank you, ma'am. Nobody said you cannot discipline your kid. Nobody said you cannot. The Bible says train up a child. Nobody says you cannot train your child. Nobody said that to nobody. But I think the problem is people get in here and something just goes wrong. That's what I'm observing as an educator in this in the public system here. Something goes wrong because you see our kids come in and it's like, okay, maybe their parents already told them, you know what, because we're in Canada, I can't discipline you. And because of that, things go haywire. And if they are coming in from that young ages, absolutely, children that are young, you see them, I can't tell you the kind of things I will see. Okay? So if we're missing things out from that stage, maybe they're coming in at age 8, age 10, age 12, like they say, catch them young, and we are messing up there, then it's as good as we are losing them. So I think this is something for me personally that I'm trusting God that God will help us as parents with as we are coming in. Don't lose sight of the fact that you are a custodian and God has given you a responsibility. God brought you here for a purpose. We're all going to give accounts of these children. We cannot afford to let down the guard. There are big expectations from God, from us, if I can put it that way. I pray that God will help every one of us in Jesus' name.
Said Ma. So my daughter transferred from grade 4 to grade 5, and when we went to the school meeting, they're talking about education. I just went straight to the teacher and I said, my daughter is very smart. She's reserved. Discipline her. Straight. I didn't even beat around the bush. I said, give her that discipline. You have my authority to discipline my daughter. Guess what? The teacher gave her an award. Like she didn't. They just called her name, and she was like, "Olutobi," me, because that permission that I gave the teacher, and she's like, "Your daughter is very smart. She's humble," and she came home and said, "Mommy, I got this." I'm like, why? Why did you say? Hey, among everybody, grade 5. You got that? She was like, yeah. So that year, we should give the teachers to discipline our children. We should tell them it's good. It's allowed here. It's not a crime for you not like, because I got, someone told me something that within our community here, a Nigeria teacher, right, at this school, then a Nigeria parent. The Nigeria thought that, okay, this is my family, we're a community, I can discipline the child, and guess what? Fight. Oh, you can't do that to my child. Why did you discipline my child? You're not allowed. I'm like, no, she can discipline your child, because the training is not just from home, but even at school. So that's my little contribution.
I want to add just what Mama said. Just one. Just like you said, Ma, I think it's a factor of people, a lot of parents, even before they live in Nigeria, I think it has to do with the media. Like I tell people, I don't believe everything you say or say on the media, right? Because in media, a lot of Nigerians have had the mindset that once you cross Africa, that's the end. You can't talk to your child, you can't even spank them. That fear is already in them. So when they come here, they are either scared to do that or they're looking at the consequences of that. Now, in my daughter's school, I was speaking with their team and I said, see, as a parent, I reserve my rights and I give it to you to train because I come from a society whereby it takes a teacher as a child. So if I'm telling my child A, B, C, D, I feel like you take child to A, B, C, so we can make the same page so that she can know that what is obtainable here is obtainable there. If I'm going to correct you here and they don't correct you in school, it's a bigger issue for me. If I'm going to correct you in school, at home, and they correct you in school, you cannot run anywhere. Because where are you going to run to for support? They will tell you the same thing there. Unfortunately for me, it's a cultural school, it's a private school. For me, as in coming back to the public school system, because parents are not, or let me rephrase, a lot of parents are not doing what they're supposed living into society whereby it's a free will society. So the moment when we begin to be parents and take out the fear of correcting, I'm not saying every now and then give the child conversations. This is not obtainable. And explain why. This is not good. Why? Because if you are explaining and not putting the why, they will ask you why. So when you're going to say ABC, put the why for the ABC. So that way, that takes out the why should I do this? Why should I do that? It becomes a full circle conversation.
Thank you very much. I still want us to delve into some other aspects, and I thank you, sir. Thank you, ma. Thank you for sharing your thoughts. I believe that we are learning. Parenting, we have to be intentional about it. What is operational in Nigeria in terms of parenting is not absolutely different from what is operational here. We need to have a change in our mindset. One thing that I know, just like you mentioned, man, we have parents that the day they got their PR, everything about Africa, about Nigeria became bad. So when we are talking about culture, oh, our language is bad. They don't even speak the language at home. Their food is bad. Everything Nigeria, Africa is, anything you say is bad. And when we begin to communicate that to our children, we are already giving them a change in their mind. And whatever they see here that you are saying is good, they imbibe it. And when they begin to act from that lens, you now want to change them back to what you had already condemned. It becomes difficult. So we should not forget that what built us up before we migrated is that same culture. And there's nothing absolutely bad. Yes, culture changes, it evolves over time. Those that lived in some area of that culture, as at that moment, that was the best. And I know that even back home, a lot of people are changing from a lot of things. So please, let's understand that. The other aspect I want us to go into is communication. I want us to talk about communication. Like you mentioned, man, when you see some children back in Nigeria, nobody will tell you, even zebra crossing, you dare not get to zebra crossing. You don't even observe it now. But here, because it's zebra crossing, you will see a Canadian will get there, he's conscious. But you will see an African, the way they will walk with pride, forgetting that life has no duplicate. So we take a lot of things for granted. Another thing is our parents, we say this often, Tori Omo ni mo ṣe wá sí Canada, meaning that I came over to Canada or I migrated because of my children, because you wanted a better life for the children. By so doing, we now become absent parents. I remember when we first landed, my wife and I, because we were still trying to get a stable job, the only job that we had then, my wife had to resume by 5 a.m. I will resume by 1, and I'll come back home by 9 p.m. thereabout. We didn't have a way to sort things out. So we were walking back to back. Our child, she technically came at age 9. Little attention for her. But there was something someone said to us, and that was the day that my wife and I, we sat down and we had a U-turn. So in the evenings, after school, my daughter will go to, it's a family friend, we will go to their place. When I'm coming back home in the night at about 9:30, I'll pick her up, we go home. And this particular day, that person said to us, in Yoruba, I will translate, Gbọ́láhàn, ẹ máa wá time fún ọmọ yín ni o. Others could have taken it negative, Meaning that, Dolahon, you have to find time for your child. You know, we were living in the assumption that this person understands the trajectory we were still trying to walk through. And I tell you, that night, my wife and I, we sat down. She had to leave the job, and I had to start working, so that she has to take the child to school, bring her home. So when she closes, she's coming to her parents' house, not a neighbor's place. So these are some things that I know that some parents find difficult to do. Some parents are running 2, 3, 4, 5 jobs, and they are not in the life of those children. And there's no way, nobody could have trained me better than my mom or my father did, because nobody could have loved me better than they brought me to life. So these are some areas I want us to have conversation around. When I talk about communication, I never grew up with my parents having to say, yes, let's talk about this. But I realized that it's wrong. So when I started my family, one thing I do, anything that has to do with the whole family, we sit down. As little as my daughter was, I ask her opinion. At times our opinion really changes a lot of things, but that wasn't the way I was brought up. So how are we communicating with our children? Or do we even have communication with them at all? Or we just pass it down? Do this, do that, do this, don't do that. Are we in their lives? How much do we know our children? And how much do our children know us? Can our children say, if I do this, this is what my mom will do, or my dad will do? How are we communicating? I want us to have conversation around communication. Thank you.
Thank you so very much for everyone that has contributed. Well, I was going to talk about the absenteeism syndrome, because I see many of us African parents, we are not there. Let's face the fact, we are not there. And there cannot be communication without availability. And communication without love is no communication. Are we there? No, we come to Canada, we say, okay, we want to struggle to stabilize. We stabilize in about 6 months. The next thing is we are looking at somebody, I'm sorry for Bridgewater or Banana Island people. No, I counsel people when they come in newly. I said, if you come here today, and next year you want to be at maybe all these high-rising posh places, then you run and run and run. You buy house, buy new house, buy new car. On what? Then it means you cannot even live in that house. You'll be changing your clothing in that car. Before you struggle to settle all those ones, your child is at home. He or she will wake up, she can't see the mom, she can't see the dad. In some homes, the slogan is, mommy comes in, daddy goes out. As the dad is coming, the mom is already going. Then how do we bridge the gaps? No, beautiful culture from Africa, wonderful culture here in Canada. If you want to bridge the gap, you have to be on ground. If you are not on ground, I know parents who would go out, the husband will go out, the wife will go out. The only thing they do to monitor the children are the city. That's not life. So please, the communication, when we say we love these children, let's be on ground. I love you, you can buy them chocolate, you buy them iPad, you buy them phone. you can see some children of like 7, 8. They have an iPad, they have a laptop, they have phone. That's all they deal with. So when a time is coming, they will grow up. You two would have grown older than you are now. Then the connection is not there. That's why at 18, some of them feel that, well, after all, what have you imputed into my life? I can live my life on my own. And that's not good for us. The Lord will help us.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you very much. Another thing that I just want to point out is the fact that are we really in the lives of our children? Do we take time to listen to them? I think because we are parents, we imply that they should just, do our biddings. However, they also have emotional needs. They have time when, they are going through stuff and they just want to talk to somebody. And the first person they want to run to is us, the parents. Are we really there for them? Are we really available to hear them talk? Or do we judge them? And another thing that I think about most of the time is that do we even have time to take them through sex education? Or do we think it's an area that we cannot go to? And then before we say Jack Robinson, you see them do things outside there. Do we have time to ask them questions? What's going on in their lives? It's not all about their education now, but their personal lives too. They have times that they want to talk to somebody, and of course, it is us. We should be the first person they run to. Are we that safe place for them? Or the first thing that comes out, Oti bere ranu abi? I think that's another aspect that we all need to look into as parents. Communicating with them, asking them questions, go into their room, just sit down with them, ask them questions. In fact, I tease my daughter, I said, Tani boyfriend dancing, just because I want her to talk. We start talking, we laugh over it, but I know what I'm doing. It's an intentional, conscious act, just so because you need to build a relationship with them, so that in case anything happens, we are their number one go-to, not that person outside there. We are their role model, at least. They should be able to come to us. They should be, they should not be scared to ask us questions. They should not be scared to tell us things. They should not feel like, if I go tell them now, I know what they are going to tell me. No. Their heart should be so free to be able to run to us. We listen to them. We can use our experiences to talk to them. There are some steps that they might want to take, and it's only what we have gone through, the experience we've had, that can help them in that, navigate through that path. And the Lord will help us in the name of Jesus Christ.
Thank you so much. The truth of the matter is, this parenting stuff, just like marriage seminar, which we've been involved with all over, you can't answer all the questions. But I want to be, very practical with some of the issue of communication. Like our sister said, you have to be able to tell them experiences. I was sharing in pastor's office, barrister was there, and we were booking Sri Lanka. Our son, for me, engineering, I studied at Greek. So I don't know. Well, my father was dead when I was 14, well, he died when I was 14. So I literally chose my own path. Eventually, I landed in agronomy and whatever. But then it's like, boy, medicine, 200K per year. That's retirement plan now, And that's what some of us are doing, So it was like, and my wife, she had always been saying, this boy, he's more of a figure guy, accounting, business, So, and he's a quiet type, unlike my daughter, that one. So, she's quiet, but if you get to her room, her calendar, her plan, her diary is there. So, our son didn't argue health science, went in. You just found out that he will come in after some classes, quiet, stay in the room, and all those sort of things. So me, fathers, thank God for fathers, as Brother Remy was saying there. So my wife, well, maybe because being an educator is like, ah, Toby, how's everything, you know? And then you realize that he had actually banked some courses. And then they will keep it from me because it's like, once they tell this man, ah! But you know, eventually I learned my lesson and I told him, I was in University of Agriculture, Abeokuta. It used to be under Unilag. I was good. I know I was good. But then I was asked to withdraw from the university. In those days, they would send your transcript home. So they sent to my mom, well, this guy, he had been asked to withdraw from the university. So I banked it, I failed, I was sent out of the university. So for me, I was able to tell him, I'm not ashamed to tell the story. So I banked it. But you know, he went from health science to engineering because maybe for me, the mom was okay, but not wanting to get to reality, you must do. So he still went to engineering, struggling until the CGPA was almost less than 1, very close to 0 point something. So he was on his way out of U of M. So then we went with him to U of M. You can imagine, father professor, mother a PhD holder, the son is banging courses. And as a pastor too. You know, it's like, I'm a pastor. But you know, my wife will say, once you mess up, you suck it up. I suck it up. We encourage him to suck it up too. We went with him to U of M. What can we do? And he had to give permission for us to be there. So we sat down with him. They chose courses. Where can we go? Go to graduate. Now it's not the issue of medicine or engineering. It's at least to graduate. So he chose agribusiness. He went through agribusiness. He came out. So he went through 3 faculties. And I was encouraging him. They sent me out too. In fact, by the time I got to year 1 in UI, the people who were in year 1 when I was in class 5, those days class 5, when you class 1 student don't walk in the corridor of class 5. So they were the people I was in class with, and then they would say, Baoni. It's like, see my life. But you know, the boy went through it. He's gone. He's finished. And on his own, he's gone back to do accounting now. He's in ASPA. And he's gone. So you communicate. You are able to, don't do as if you know all. Even if you are the GO, you should be able to, I failed here. That's part of communication. The second one was our daughter, she was attending St. Mary's Academy. And I got a job with government. And I tell our people, whatever job you have, the faith that we will apply, God, give me house, give me this, apply it even to your job. I told my director then, or my manager before I got to managerial position too, I said, please, I can't afford to have meeting at 8:30. Family is huge for me. I said, I take my daughter to school. Then we were still staying around Chancellor area. So to drive to St. Mary's, the traffic on Pembina, that any meeting that I take my daughter to school. And she understood. It's by prayer too. So I will go up to grade 12. In fact, when she was in grade 12, it's like, that day I will take bus. I said no. In fact, when she closes at times, I also let my office know. I go and pick her deliberately, just like Stabun was saying, to be able to have communication, to be there for her. There was a time we had struggles because these are things we go through. I was working with Fairfax night shift because life happened to me that even my Toyota Venza, the light will be showing that the gas is almost finishing. And it's not that NNPC is on strike here. There was no money in the pockets. Everything was down. Everything was down. We had to move out. We don't have time. I will have given you a practical example. You're talking. We got a house in South Point. A year after we came, somebody pushed us into it. So we got a house. In fact, when we went into the house, I told my wife to pray about it. My wife said she was not praying about that house because she knew it's not God's plan. In fact, she told me, she said, this is high jump. But she followed me. And that time we were paying 2,300. Somebody who just came, we were in an apartment, we were just playing on Macam, 990 Macam. We were paying about 1,000 and we were managing ourselves. Somebody said, come and take this house, you know, we will discuss the modality. And then when Yawa gas, people had already come, they've given us house gift, everything. The person said it's rent to own. My wife for one day did not decorate that house. She believed it was not her house. So when Yawa gas, I went to the bank. We have rent to own. No. They said, where is the paper? It's like I have entered one chance at Tojota. So we had to move back and then move to Chancellor area, a house where the children say, oh, there is bug, there is bug. You see, those are part of the trauma we take our children through. That time, swimming, we can't even afford to go and register for swimming. So their children, their friends will be doing swimming. We can't do swimming because water ends. So where do we go? Professor, I went to WRHA, $12 per hour. In fact, the day I got Fairfax, $14, we were doing praise worship. But then with the Fairfax, I was doing nights. So what will we do? Before leaving for night, we will have our family devotion. For us, it's non-negotiable. We will have our family devotion. We do our open heavens. Because by the time I come back in the morning, they will have gone to school. So we will do it. So that family altar for one day, even if we travel, we do conference call to be able to do it. It's part of the place for communication. And at the family altar, you're able to talk. Like our Saturdays, like you said, for me, waking up this morning, and when we wake up by 10, 11, we do family devotion till maybe 1. We talk. We've talked about sex this morning because I know they are getting to that stage. We talk about marriage. They need to open their eyes. Shine your eyes. So these are things, communication is important. We have to be there. We have to be there and talk with them. Maybe when you are carrying them to school, let's not again, out of fear, I got into it. In fact, we bought a new car, 2013 Venza. I'm still using that car. I said, this car, the banks were calling me BMO, that they were going to take the vehicle. My credit rating, in fact, I hated home phone because Fido we call, water we call, this one we call, because Mutilot Toribon continue Toribon. So when I came out, I went to change my shock. Somebody said, Doc, is it not time to change that car? Change waiting. Car is not a luxury to me. Oh. The shocks now, the car is 360-something thousand kilometers. It's still going. With the shocks now, in fact, my son drove it, he says it. Even if he don't say. So these are issues. So see, don't get yourself stressed out. And during those periods, there was a time I was shuttling between here and Nigeria to be able to get my professorship. My wife said she was not going to do any work. So she was applying for lunch supervisor. Do you know how much they pay lunch supervisor? And it's only for, because she said she wants to be there when the children are going to school, and she wants to be there to welcome them. That's why my son is going to be 26. He's still in the basement. He's saving his money. So please, we can do it. Don't allow stress of, don't go, whether you live in Bridgewater or you live in Chancellor. Somebody say, it's an old house. That is what our community say. When Yawa gas, they won't be there with you.
Thank you so much for that, sir. I just want to add to what has been shared. For those of us that have younger children, okay, I think the idea of intentionality comes in here as well. And I think that's what Sister Bumi mentioned earlier on. We've just got to be intentional. The system we find ourselves in is completely different. Different in that, like back home in Nigeria, you can get people to help you mind your kids, right? But it is not the same way here, right? So meaning the responsibility is on you to ensure that your children are properly minded. Just to add to what has been said, we're talking about communication. What is coming to mind for me in terms of communication? Like, I know my husband and myself, we didn't start that early, like in our own relationship as a couple. But once upon a time, we watched this, there was this comedy, a British-based comedy, you know. I can't remember the name now of the, but for some of you that might have watched it, we had this family, it was the Adebanjos. The Adebanjos, yes, that was it. Yeah, the Adebanjos. And in that comedy, you will usually hear like the husband and the wife, like Gladys, like The husband will always tell, or the husband, okay, quality me, like quality me. So my husband and myself, we've adopted that, like spending time together. So when we're together and we want to spend time together, it is quality me time. So whether we are driving together in the car and we think that's quality me time, put down your phone. So you cannot be on your phone. Quality me time. So we both remind ourselves, we're sitting down together, you know, in the sitting room, for example, and somebody's on the phone, and I think this is time you should quality me. Like, oh yeah, drop your phone. Quality me time. We can adopt that with our children. We've got to be intentional. I think one thing that this system, this society takes is intentionality. I'm sorry to say this, but I think in our own system back in Nigeria, intentionality, maybe you might get away with it if you are not intentional. But in this system, you've got to be. You don't have a choice. So if you are choosing not to make that choice, I'm sorry. Okay? So even with our kids, you've got to be intentional. So as you're going to pick them, and that's why it's important for you to be there for them. You've got to be there. As you pick them from the school, you can stylishly, jokingly, children, sorry, we're starting something new. It is quality me time. Quality me time, mom and kids. So no devices. Please set apart your devices. Right? And what are you going to be doing? Check with them. Like, I'm a teacher. In my classroom, every Monday, every Friday, like, I'm doing check-in with my students. Like, they are coming back from weekend. Check-in, okay? Yeah, so you want to think that we get into learning right on. I'm a teacher. One of my own philosophies, why I teach, no kid will learn nothing from you if you have not built a significant relationship. So relationship is big. That's one of my big things as an educator. Relationship is key. No relationship, nothing happens. So what do we do to be able to build this significant relationship? You've got to be intentional about it. So they are coming back from school. Like my students, before they left yesterday, which was Friday, now, where I started with them, what is something that you're going to be, exciting thing that you're going to be doing over this weekend? Some of them, like one of them, just sharing one. So it's going to, they were 6 years in Canada, for instance. So I know what's going on with them. You know, they were 6 years. And so this weekend, today actually, their family, what they decided to do is they will all choose what they want to do. So parents and children, this is where I want to go. The mom, for instance, wants to go to Fabric Land. So all of them, because she sews, they will go to Fabric Land, finish there. Then the kid that wants to go to Subway, they go to Subway. That's how they want to celebrate. So give them time. You've got to give them time to talk. Let them talk. You've got to create those opportunities for them to talk. You're picking them from class, from school. Hey, what happened in class today? Maybe like my own kids, nothing much. Tell me more. What happened? Just slow down. Tell me what happened. Just don't get agitated about the fact that they don't want to talk. You've got to open them up. Yeah? So get some things. If you have to Google, thank God for ChatGPT today. Find one or two things that you think you can connect with them with. Okay? Tell me, what happened? What happened with your teacher today? Just start something. Find something to connect with them. Start a conversation. If they start something, tell me more. What happened again? Tell me more. Tell me, if that's all you got, tell me more. And you are bringing them gradually to be able to chat with you. Because if you don't, if you don't establish that relationship with them at this stage, then how would they begin to just open up to you on things after now when they go past that stage? So this stage, this 5 to 12 is critical. If you lose them, I'm sorry, is as good as God have mercy on you. So you've got to be intentional in these formative years, particularly for those of us that have younger kids. You've got to communicate with them. You've got to figure out you've got to be creative. As Nigerians, we are very creative people. So you've got your creativity, you've got to bring it in here, just so that you communicate with your kids as you need to. Very, very important. Find a way. If you need checking questions, lots of them online. That's what I do too as an educator. So I call it connection circle. When you come to my class, Monday morning, for instance, we sit like this. This is how we sit. We don't start any learning first because they will not learn nothing. First, we connect. And then after the connection, their heads open. They are ready to do anything with you. But you don't connect with them. You want to teach them. You are lying. You waste time, you know. But if I want to use my Niger teacher sense here, just imagine what will be happening. Nothing. If I want to say by force, we are learning now. No, be learning, be teaching, you know. Yeah. So please, it's important for us as parents to understand this is the system we find ourselves in. If there's a word, I didn't know about that word before now, not until recently myself. Intentionality is our word. Very big word, very key. We've got to be intentional. The Lord will help us in Jesus' name.
Thank you very much, Ma. Have we learned anything? Thank you. For lack of enough time, we will be going for a short break now. But I don't want to leave without saying this. And this, without any bias, deals more with the men. The men. We have been made to become the lion of the house. For those that are raising children right now, maybe your children are still, yes, like Koinsola, it is very good. I remember those days when my daughter was like that. She won't sleep until I carry her, but I lost it along the line. And I want to say this so that we don't make that mistake. When my daughter got to puberty age, I began to redress because she's the opposite sex. She was tilting more to me, but my mind was telling me no. I was pushing her away, and gradually I pushed her to the mother. I had to be intentional years after to start sitting her down and start talking to her. So I want to plead with the fathers. Let us bond with our children. Many of us grew up with the understanding that it is the mothers that will teach them. When those mothers teach them, when they grow older, they will remember the mothers. But they will not remember that you were paying bills. So please, for the men, this is Canada, where everybody, parenting is not one person's responsibility. It's a joint responsibility. As your wives are talking to them, you also take time, be intentional, talk to them. Don't leave it that, don't be the man that you will see, Jackie Daddy Ede, and when you come also, you did that. You are instilling fear. And when that child grows older, she doesn't want to relate with you. He doesn't want to relate with you because you are the lion of the house. But she did not know that it was the squirrel that reported her or him to the lion. So I want to plead with us men. Let's also be intentional in our relationship with our children. May God help us in Jesus' name. So at this moment, we'll just take a very short break. In the next 15-20 minutes, we come back to the panel discussion session where we will take many questions that have been sent in, and then we take it off from there. Thank you very much.